Greetings, everyone. Thomas here. This is a heads up that I'm not going to be able to file a report this coming Monday. I'm going to be traveling this weekend. I'm going off to a very joyous and very wonderful celebration some distance away. I'm calling it a family matter because the people I'm going to see I consider family, and I won't go into any more details about that. Let's just say it's personal, and it's a good personal, and I'm looking forward to it. And when I'm there, those people deserve my complete attention. So I'm not going to be trying to file anything from the road unless it's really important. And I want to just give you a heads up about that. I got a lot of great feedback from my report that I filed in regards to Butler and the Trump rally there. I want to thank everyone that gave me all that positive feedback. I had some colleagues saying it was one of the best things I ever did, and wow. But as they say, you're only as good as your last story. However, I would like to take this moment to call your attention to something that I did, and I would recommend strongly everybody do, and that is to vote in this election, especially for who is the next president of the United States. Now, every few years they have an announcement that this is the most important election in American history, and that's an old line. I mean, it's cliche. However, this year, I think it's pretty accurate. This is not an election between the Republicans and the Democrats or against conservatives or liberals, although I think those terms are horribly outdated and quite irrelevant. This is an election about the sane and the insane. This is an election about America and anti-American forces. Now, anybody who knows me knows I've been involved in politics on and off since I was quite young. And as I've said all the time, every president that you like or dislike, you're going to agree or disagree with about 50% of what they're into. I probably agreed with about 60% of what President Reagan was into, and I was a big Reagan fan. There's a lot of things he did I didn't agree with. That's just the way it goes. But this year, we're dealing with the forces of light and the forces of darkness. I wholly endorse Donald Trump for president, not because I think he's the best that the United States can offer. I'm sure we can find much better. But the competence he's able to exercise in that office, given his background and given the fact that he had the job the first time around, and, well, long story there, I won't go into it. But the alternative is horror. It's the insanity that is behind the leftist movement in the United States, and it's true insanity. Kamala Harris has got to be the worst thing that's ever come close to the Oval Office. And I'm not going to list all the reasons, but I'm just going to ask people out there who think of themselves as liberal to just go out and do some rudimentary research. Don't believe anything the mainstream media is telling you. Really. I used to work for it, and this ain't it. It's horror what's going on in this country. This is a country that is actually in the process of dying. Dying. And these are the people on the Democratic side, the Democratic Party and the leadership, they're doing everything they can to put the nails in the coffin. I do not think Trump is a God emperor. I don't think he's the second coming of Jesus. I don't think he's anything more than a typical Northeast United States business executive who decided he was sick and tired and wanted to just spend the latter years of his life trying to fix things. But I'll tell you something. I got to see the crowds in Butler, and I got to see him. And as Elon Musk said, there's nothing really wrong with having a person who's head of the United States who will go up and fist pump, fight after being shot. At the same time, you really have to look at what is going on in this country, the insanity of all this, and there's no beginning and no end of it, really. That has to stop. Now, when I went to go vote yesterday, I stopped by the Republican table outside. Every precinct will have a Republican table and a Democratic table just outside the demarcation line where you're not allowed to do any politicking. And I was talking to them and said I was at Butler, and we had some chats, and I said it was really interesting to see the crowd because they're not there for Trump as much as they're for themselves, their families, and their communities. And a lady who, I don't know her name, but she said, yes, of course, they want their country back. And that summed it up completely. We want our country back. We want the United States back. We don't want a police state. We don't want to have a level of corruption that made the latter days of the Soviet Union look honest. We do not want to have more than two genders. We do not want to see people lose their jobs because they don't say the right pronouns. And on and on and on. People want to live decently. They want to live honestly. They want to go out and work. They want to go out and provide for their families. They want to build families. There's a lot of good about American culture that the Democratic Party and all those who support it wish to destroy. That can't be allowed to happen. Now, I've heard people say they don't want to vote, or, oh, I don't agree with this with Trump, and I think they're both crooks, or, oh, stop the nonsense, please. Really. There's something called realpolitik, and that is that you have to do what you have to do to get what you want. It's been attributed to several people, but there is an old saying, politics is the art of the possible. The forces of good, and I do consider that what is considered the force behind Donald Trump, not necessarily the Republican Party. The Republican Party is not as corrupt as the Democratic Party is, but it runs a close second. It's not about the Democrats or Republicans. I think personally both those institutions are pretty much gone. The Democrats are really gone. They're Harry Truman, John F. Kennedy, everybody that you attributed that belief to, they wouldn't recognize it today. That's gone. But it might still do a lot of damage before it fully dies, and we can't allow that to happen. So I'm going to leave you with this note. I won't be with you Monday, but I would ask you to vote as best you can. Just vote. Okay, vote for sanity. Kamala Harris is not sanity. Anybody who supports her is not sane. As you guys have learned, I'm one that's going to tell it as it is, and that's the way it is. There are a lot of victims of the Hurricane Helene that are floundering right now. That is not conspiracy theory. That's real. There's people on the ground there that are reporting exactly how incompetent the U.S. federal government has gotten when it comes to dealing with such things. And as I speak, another hurricane is obliterating Florida. Both two major red states just before an election. Wonder why that is. Don't know. Bad luck, perhaps. But I doubt there's any divine being on the sides of the Democrats, Kamala Harris, or the Marxist liberal establishment. So that's it for now. I'll be in touch as much as I can. I do want to call your attention to a story I did for a newspaper in the general part of the United States I roam around in. That's up on the site, the link there. And I'm going to wish everybody well. This time next month, the United States is going to be a very different place, and it's going to be up to you, those people listening to me, and your friends. It's going to be up to you what sort of place it is and where it's going. That's all for now. Until we meet again, stay vigilant, stay tuned, and remember, Clown World must be destroyed. Good day.